Welcome to the Big Brilla Podcast, proudly the biggest Mississippi Brilla FC podcast in the world. You know, I always like to remind you that we are proudly brought to you by the Taylor Group with Keller Williams Realty, by my friends Scott and Taylor, who are both here in the Clinton area. They take pride in walking beside first-time home buyers, veteran home buyers, everybody in between. Put the Taylor Group of Keller Williams to work for you. You can call Scott and Amanda at 601-460-4868, or you can email Scott at scott.taylor@kw.com. The easiest thing just to do is to go to their website, thetaylorgroup.co. That's thetaylorgroup.co, thetaylorgroup.co. My name is Robert Chapman, and what a week it's been in the USL League 2 Mid-South Division. We've had amazing games with wonderful wins, dynamic draws, enough of a sample size to be able to look at the table and see what's what. As of the end of May, beginning of June, right here today, this episode is being released on June the 1st. This is Mississippi Day. This is 601. The Central Mississippi Day, that's the area code here. Anyway, as of June 1st, Mississippi Brilla FC has shoved 3 massive matches into a 7-day spree. Such a request taxes the players, especially when they play the way that they do. You know, I wish that there was a way that we could measure the output just like an RPM gauge or like a horsepower measurement tool. Just in the 3 matches Brilla has played, there's been a maximum amount of output, both from our guys as well as the guys on the Louisiana crew on Little Rock and in Hattiesburg. The nature of the league and how it's organized requires these players to find a new gear in order to produce, kind of like they're physically used to producing, but they usually have more time to rest in between. This makes them stronger both mentally and physically. They're starting to see it too. After Brilla's draw with Hattiesburg this past week, I caught up with Captain Juan Diego Corral, and he touched on how the number of games back to back to back is an issue. He called it an issue, not an excuse.
Well, first of all, we didn't start our best games due to too many factors like 3 games in a week, but it's not an excuse to play with our fans here and watching us. Me as a captain, I have to encourage the team to keep going even when things are not going good. So we didn't lose, so we keep 1 point here at home. We're gonna play strong and we're gonna train harder for the audience and for the club.
Brilla hosted Hattiesburg this past Wednesday, and the match started out with Brilla in the driver's seat 100%. Juan Diego scored off a set piece, taking advantage of one of the very few mistakes that Hattiesburg's keeper, Jacob Burkhall, we're going to call him Jacob Burkhall. One of the very few mistakes that he made. Burkhall was off his line after coming to punch the ball away, ran into a man of his own, and Wandy made the most of winning the second ball, sending it into the goal. Hattiesburg, however, saw Brilla's first match and raised them a second half by taking over at the start of the second 45. After a quality goal, then a goal that followed a really odd red card situation, the match looked like it was over for the home team, but a worldie from outside the 18 by Frenchman Alexi Abelum tied it up at literally the last second. All right, Alexi serves this one in. Great shot! What a beautiful miracle by number 7, Alexi Abelum. Beautiful into that near corner. Elliot Duffy saw his first start in the net for Brilla. It's a great problem to have a plural number of quality keepers on call. With Luca Baena and Elliot Duffy having key minutes in their stat sheet, we're not in a bind if one of them needs a day off or, heaven forbid, there's some sort of injury going on. Also, side note, Duffy coached some of the players here in Clinton for our Brilla Juniors program, so they were all happy to show up and cheer for Coach Elliott. Now, as usual, I met up with my partner in play-by-play crime, Coach Will Nations, to break down what he saw in the last match with the newest segment from the Nations. We are here joining with the Nations, Will Nations, the one and only, who helped break down some tactical aspects of a few things during the last match, which was actually really fun. It was really good. Will, what all did you see in the match against the Hattiesburg FC Thunder?
Yeah, that was an exciting match on Wednesday, which now feels forever ago just because it's summertime for us as a school teacher. And obviously Abalon's free kick goal right there, the last kick of the match, is receiving the due credit that it deserves. But I just want to, focus primarily starting with our center backs, Wandy, the artist formerly known as Juan Diego Corral, and Julian Diaz. Both have come in and really set the tone for Brilla. I thought last year part of our issues kind of set in our defensive bank, played a 3 or a 5 last year, and this year playing a 4, and really getting anchored by Wandy and Julian Diaz in the back is really helpful. And then they're also getting help from our fullbacks. Sori is the one that was playing.
Gage is over there on the right.
Gage Sori and Philozola were doing an outstanding job on Wednesday, kind of holding up Hattiesburg from really getting much out of any attack. Obviously, in the second half, they found 2 goals, but I don't think that those goals were easy or cheap, and so I really was impressed by our back line. I think that's been a exclamation point in the first 3 matches for Brilla. Obviously, 5 points were earned in those matches, and so that's been good. I'd also throw in, I was really, 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 really impressed by Sabe playing that kind of what we might call a trequarista role, which is Italian for 3/4. He was.
You literally are from the Nations. You got words from all over. You're good.
All over. I'm trying to blend in some stuff with that. And so what I was impressed with him was that free roaming ability that he had, working box to box. On our team sheet, he was placed as the right winger, but he really didn't play as a traditional right winger. That was more so resolved elsewhere by other people, putting their feet on the talk, like Teo Alanes, being more of the wider player.
Right.
But that allowed for Sabe to really operate in the half spaces and also drop back into the midfield third and pick up the ball there and use his dribbling ability to cause Hattiesburg a lot of headaches, and also just made it difficult for them to track him because he would start on their back line when we would get into possession, and then he'd drop all the way back into a more traditional center midfield role. And the next thing you know, you look up and he's got the ball on the left wing, creating some kind of attack for Brilla. So I was really blown away by Sabe's efforts. I think I said during the broadcast, he was my man of the match just because of how much he put into the game energy-wise and just his absolute willingness to carry the ball for Brilla.
Well, I think the consistency, like you're talking about the man of the match, it's Gonzalo is always there, and then you've also got Juan Diego. So with them being lined up together, when they shift and they one goes to the right, one goes to the left, now the entire rectangle is going to shift, and you're going to have that 3-dimensional phase almost that you have. So it's one of those that's really easy to give to Sabe. It's always easy to give to Corral, but I think that those two serve as wonderful anchors to this team, which is amazing because they are so very different in size, very different in playing ability, but I think they complement each other well, and I really think they do the team a service by anchoring that middle part to where everybody else with their specialty can go and do their thing. Speaking of a specialty, we got to see Coach Azira kind of buckled down on his guys at the end or at the beginning of the second half. First half, they finished 1-0. Everything was smooth. It was Brilla's way. And then the second half started, and the Hattiesburg Thunder, they came out breathing fire, and they were ready to go. And it showed that we had to shift mid-game. I talked to Juan Diego at the end of the game, and he did point out, he didn't call it an excuse, he just called it a factor, that there is that Brilla has played 3 matches in about a week, in about 8 or 9 days, and it's really catching up with them, which is what this league is supposed to do. It's supposed to challenge them, but they had to adjust and think as they were exhausted. I talked to Coach Azira at the end, and he said that it showed that they had to click in and change their mindset to force themselves to, when they're tired, to continue to think. And I believe in that second half, where it wasn't pretty, it wasn't great, it wasn't tremendous football, but I believe that at the end they didn't give up. The red card situation against Hattiesburg left everybody flustered. Not clearing the ball out showed that our mindset was kind of put in, I wouldn't even say in overdrive. It was almost put on cruise control. And it was a reminder, hey, the match isn't over, and they had to go and finish. And so you had Abelum at the end, Alexi Abelum, close it out with a screamer just outside the box. What did you see there from our vantage point when that was going on?
Yeah, so the second half definitely, like you said, tired legs. I mean, I'm looking at the schedule: 5:20, 5:23, 5:27, and even us on the high school level look at a schedule like that and go, "Oh gosh, how are we going to recover?" And obviously, as you get older, even though we look at these young men as 18, 19, 20 years old, 23, some of them that age. It gets harder to get out of the bed as you get older, and at the level that they are playing, it's difficult. It's hot. It's humid, and so to be expected to play 3 matches in 7 days at the level that they played, it was an outstanding showing of their mentality that they weren't going to quit, because it very easily. And I get it. This is not your regular team.
Right.
This is a team that is what people would deem summer ball, and hey, like, it's okay if we don't, come out and win this game or doesn't have to be the best result. And yet 3 games in, this team is bought into what they want to accomplish. And that's a shout to Mike Azira that he's got this team bought in so soon. And I mean, I'm telling you, the town is buzzing, like, because of this effort. And I hope they hear this podcast, the guys on the team, and realize you've got this town starting to buy in, and it's beautiful because they're going to show up. If I know anything about Clinton and the Mississippi people that are in this area, you start winning games, you start putting together a product that's fun to watch for 90 minutes, people are going to show up. And so I hope that they utilize what they saw. I mean, to hear the "Let's Go Brilla" cheers there in the last, it's been a while since we've heard, really just this like full just cacophony of just everybody in the stands getting behind them.
And it was loud enough to where you and I heard it. We were in the press box that's got the closed glass with no windows that can go up, and across the field we could hear it, and we knew that it was going on.
Yeah, so I really am proud of those guys. Just knowing that this is something they're wanting to accomplish. I'm telling you, if all the boats if the water rises, all the boats go up.
That's
too.
right.
So I mean, I think they kind of realize too, this is a good opportunity for them to put themselves on a national stage as well.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So the next match is June the 3rd. It's a Wednesday, so where they had 3 matches in a week, now they've got a week to relax before they take on. Who are they taking on? I had this
Red River.
Red River. So Red River, I believe they only have they've only played
They're
one,
only 2
one
matches.
2.
So because of the tiebreaker, it's
right.
points per game, or points per match is the tiebreaker in USL 2. And so they actually sit ahead of us, even though they have 4 points. They've only played 2 matches. But I do believe that Red River is playing at Memphis, who has a former Brilla player, Lashley on
Miller
their
Lashley.
team.
He scored 2 great ones last night.
He sure
only
did.
2
Scored
for
the
Memphis.
first 2. Yeah, first 2 for Memphis FC in the USL 2. And those first 2 goals belong to Miller Lashley.
Yeah, I watched after I was texting you last night. I watched some of their broadcast. A big little shout out to their broadcast team. It was probably one of the more professional ones that I've seen. their Tim Van Horn, I think, is their play-by-play guy. He's got a tremendous voice. It's one of those that is like, you were meant to call soccer.
Well, recognizable too, because I know I've heard him somewhere.
Absolutely, you have. All right, so I'm gonna put you on the spot, and then I'm gonna let you go because I know that you got somewhere to be, and I got to go fix something with a car. What so much fun on the regular side of life. All right, World Cup is coming up. You have any predictions on anything?
Here's my take, and I'm just going to wear it. I'd love to be wrong. U.S. men's national team not getting out of the group.
Okay.
B, not going to happen. I've looked at it. I feel somewhat confident, and so I'll probably have my phone get blown up when you post this. But I don't know. It doesn't feel like this group. It reminds me of 1998, World Cup 1998. All the European players. We've made it onto the world stage a little bit as individuals, and I just don't know if we have what it takes. And my guy Pochettino, former Tottenham manager, I just don't know if he's ready for the international stage to really put forth what we need. Paraguay's the opening match, followed by a sneaky good Australia.
Australia. There was an article. I can't remember if it was The Athletic or if it was The Guardian that put it out, and it was about why Australia has produced quality soccer players over the last 10 years, and I think that's going to catch up. I do find it funny that the two biggest, I mean, I know Canada is in there as well, but the two biggest countries that call football soccer are in the same group. So you've got the U.S. men's national team and then the Socceroos from Australia. I think that'll be great. My big take is I think somebody's going to win it this year, and it's going to be their first.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, with expanded field, and also you don't have Italy or some of the traditional teams that are, bound to win it. I could definitely take that take. I think that's a good one.
I think it's going to be something because France is going to make a run, and it's going to happen like that. But I don't think you're going to have. I think it's going to be somebody new. If you, I close this out. If you're interested in a book to read right before the World Cup, with all the political mess going on in the world, a great book. I found this online. It's called More Than a Shirt by Joey D'Urso. He's a soccer journalist. It covers all of the history of sponsors on jerseys and the political and geocentric unrest that goes along with it. Like in Germany when Schalke wore a sponsor that was a Russian gas company, and then when the Ukrainian, everything went on. It was a lot that happens with Rangers and Celtic FC. So it's a really good book. I encourage you to read it, or if you're like me and you don't have time to read it, get it on audiobook. It's a good 11 hours. You can fly through it at 1.5 speed, but it's a good book, especially right before the World Cup.
All right. I'll have to look into this, but probably especially the audio version to try and squeeze it in. That's
exactly. I know I laugh. I have 2 English degrees and I don't read books anymore. I listen to them on audio, but it is what it is. All right. I'm going to let you go. We're going to get the day rolling. I appreciate your time as always, and I'll see you at the next match.
Have a good one, Robert. I'll see you then.
Like I said earlier, there's enough of a sample size to truly get an idea of who's who in the table this year. Will and I said previously that getting a quality footing in the first 3 matches really sets the tone. So where does everybody sit so far? Louisiana Crew FC sits at the top with 12 points after 5 matches. They're the only team with 5 matches played at the moment, but 12 points is hefty. 4 wins, 1 loss to Brilla, I might add at that one, and 0 draws. That gets them to 12 points. That's getting up there. Red River is in second with 7 points after handling Memphis FC with ease. Brilla is just under them in the 3rd spot with 5 points in 3 matches. The good guys only have 1 win, but the 2 draws at home have helped us stay relevant. The name of the game moving forward is W's. Get W's, like Jameis Winston get W's, right? Remember he would eat his W's. I don't know if that reference really translates to everybody else that doesn't keep up with the NFL, but win, that's the mission. Little Rock, they have 4 points, followed by Hattiesburg with only 2 after finishing with 2 draws and a loss. After our match with the Thunder, however, I'd like to tell you that their record really doesn't match their ferocity. They're a team. They're a team to pay attention to. The Tennessee teams are looking for the first wins. Both of them are. I will say that former Brilla player Miller Lashley scored both goals for Memphis FC this past match. He's a beast of a player, and it's always good to see him doing well. I just wish it was for us and not for someone else, but what you gonna do? This week in the Mid-South Division, matches kick off on Wednesday, June the 3rd. Tennessee Derby per se kicks off with the Memphis FC heading north to take on the Jackson Boom. Brilla hosts Red River at 7 p.m. on Wednesday as well at Robinson Hill Stadium on the campus of the newly minted Mississippi Christian University. I'm going to call it Mississippi College or MC forever because that's what I've known it for my ripe old 41 years, but I promise to work on it. Dr. Blake Thompson, I'm looking at you. On Saturday, Hattiesburg hosts Memphis. Little Rock hosts the Jackson Boom, and a clash of the Titans ensues as the Louisiana Crew host Red River. Now, I had a chance to catch up with Brilla's founder and executive director, Rusty Bryant. Now, let's change that. I stole some minutes, more likely. I stole some minutes from the very busy Rusty Bryant to get his mindset on how the season is going. Talked about his own podcast and starting the entire summer off with the marriage of his oldest son, Luke, to his then fiance, now wife. All right, hanging out here with Rusty Bryant, we'll call you the granddaddy of them all, of the Mississippi Brilla FC. We'll just call you the daddy of them all. You're not granddaddy yet. Although y'all did just experience a little bit of an addition to the family. Tell me how that went right at the beginning of the season.
Crazy couple of weeks, Robert. Luke got married. So players moved in on Wednesday. We had rehearsal dinner on Thursday, wedding on Friday, and then the first game the next Wednesday. So I asked Heather several times, who planned this thing?
Yeah, really.
But it was great. Wonderful experience, and it was awesome. They're doing great. In fact, I was sitting out here on the back porch doing some work, and they popped their head out here because they had come by to go to the neighborhood pool and stuff. And I'm like, it's so cool having them here. And, so it's great. Great fun.
That's good. So we're 3 matches into the season. Coach Azira has really gotten to know. We're 3 matches, right?
3 matches.
3. Okay,
right.
I was making sure. I was like, wait a second. Did my brain suddenly go off?
Well, I was looking funny because I was like, do you hear my dog barking?
I do.
I just am kind of sorry.
You're good. My dogs are barking too. Anybody walks in front of my house, the dogs bark. So we're 3 matches in. It's been a very different start of the season than what we had last year. And already you're starting to see a little bit of pressure being put on our group. What have you seen in this centrifuge of forcing these guys together really fast, practicing really fast, becoming a team really fast, and having so many games in such a short amount of time? What has this revealed kind of about the character of this team?
Well, there's a lot of layers to that onion. I mean, we could peel back a lot of different things, but just some of the stuff that's kind of jumped out at me is how, because of the way we set up Brilla Soccer Ministries and this team being a part of this, it doesn't take very long for these guys to really become like super close and great friends. It was kind of funny. Logan and I were talking. The guys had been here at the time. I remember even specifically saying to him 11 days at the time. Mm-hmm. And I said, these guys have been here 11 days and I feel like I've known them forever. Mm-hmm. And it's because, I mean, for the first basically 3 weeks of the season or so, I mean, we're doing every single dinner together. We train every single day. But the dinners, that's what really does it. And this year, just because of the way things kind of fell, most of them have actually been at my house. And so, I mean, they're actually on their way here in about an hour. But this will probably be maybe the 8th or 10th time that they've already been to my house. And they literally got here on May the 13th or 15th or whatever that was. It's all running together. 13th. So that's a big part of it. Like these guys they've gelled really well, and I would say way better than the last couple of years because you don't have these little pockets of friendships. And some of that was because in the years past we had little groups of people that had played here before, and they naturally just gravitated together. And then you had these countries that were all represented together, and they spoke this language, and there's a little bit of that, but not near as much. These guys, like hardly any of them knew each other, and so they really are good friends. I mean, we went to church this morning. There were 18 of them that showed up to go to church this morning. And that's, I mean, even that's a little bit unusual. As you get further into the season, the guys are tired and they don't, not as many of them will wake up and come, but they just enjoy being together. And so that's been a really big part of just the gelling together as a team. But then when you look on the field part of it and the on field product, these guys got tired really quick because we played, I think it was 3 games in 7 days.
Yep,
is the
3
way
days and 7.
Yeah, and so like I don't know. Maybe you remember back in the day, Robert. We were not near as good as these people, obviously, but back in the day, we play 7 games in 7 days, and again, it wasn't the same type of intensity. But I don't know, they're not used to that, and so having days off and time off is important for their bodies, just because of what they go through, and so. This has been great. This weekend we were off, and they've had some time to rest, and I think it's going to be really good. And I think Wednesday will come out. We had some injuries the last couple of games. We'll have some guys that are back and look a little more fresh. So maybe that answers your question, because that was a couple of different
Yeah, it really
levels
does. But even like I kept thinking too, their schools that they represent, they can't necessarily throw them into 7 days and 3 games. It wouldn't be anything that they put on their plan and their game action plan. But having it here, I'm sure it's extremely beneficial for them when they get back. They don't want them to get injured. They don't want any kind of stress to be put on their body in an unnecessary way. But when they are pressured like this, and again, like we talked about that centrifuge, they're shoved together real fast. They've got to make some changes and some adjustments on their own.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we also have to take into account is in college there's different substitution rules. So these guys can, if you've got a guy that's a little bit fatigued, you bring him out. You can kind of baby him a little bit, but in this league, I mean, you play, and when you come out, you're out. And so it's so crucial that some of these guys they stay in for the majority, if not the whole 90 minutes. And so those numbers and those minutes start adding up, and yeah, it just there's a balance and a lot that goes into it. It's just watching the management of this and the game management and just their recovery and the things that they do. There's a lot that goes into it that the people up in the stands and the people listening to your podcast, they don't understand to the full extent.
How has it been having Coach Azira back for a 3rd year? Anything he says to me is just gold. I don't know if it's the accent. I don't know if it's just the wisdom behind the eyes. But everything he says is just gold. And so I imagine in a scenario like the USL League 2, that these guys are just getting, again, gold from him that are going to better who they are.
Well, I said it yesterday, actually, at training. A friend of mine had come out to watch, and he knows soccer, and he had come out and was watching some of practice, and Luke and I were standing there with him, and I said something about there had been a little bit of a confrontation on the field during practice. Mike was kind of getting on to a player, and Luke made a comment, and he said, the player that was arguing with him, he wasn't wrong, but Mike was just thinking like 3, 4, 5, 6 steps ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was trying to tell him where he should have gone. The guy wasn't wrong in the moment, But in Mike's moment, who was way ahead, and so I said, Mike's out there playing chess while the rest of
Mm-hmm.
these guys are playing checkers.
Mm-hmm.
His brain is a different level. The thing that I have found great for this year, because if you remember 3 years ago when he started coaching with us, he was thrown in at the last minute, and it was literally his first head coaching job straight out of retirement. And it was out of necessity because we lost our coach at the last minute who had to go to a Division I school and they wouldn't let him come back down here. And so Mike was thrown in, and I think it's taken these 3 years for him to basically get to a place where he can take some of what's up here and actually verbalize it to those of us who are, how do we say, the peons of soccer, and maybe use it to, and I say that in all respect, even to about our players, because he's just at such a different level than them. And so being able to articulate it in a way that they can understand it, he's gotten so much better at that. And man, the other thing people don't know about Mike, like Mike comes to every meal with these guys, and not only, I mean, he shows up at all the meals, but comes to church with them. He goes to their apartments after practice and sits down one on one with them, and he's like, "How are you doing? How are you feeling? Is there anything off the field that there?" I don't know. I don't even know how to describe. There's nothing like it I've ever seen, and and as he's learning to coach better, man, he's something special. So it's great to have him, and he and I just think on the same, not on soccer level because he's way ahead of me, but we think on the same level when it comes to just how to treat these guys and what we're providing for them and giving to them, and so it's great to work with him.
What are you seeing on the administrative and the operational side? How is 2026 looking differently than it has in the past?
So, a couple of things that I've been really excited about is just our presence, even in the community. And honestly, I think like even what you're doing, and I know it takes a while to get podcast. I have a podcast, so I understand it takes a while. And you have to be so consistent, and you have to show up, and you have to market yourself over and over. And so, you are doing a great job with that. But I think it is generating some interest, and then on top of that, just the move I think to Mississippi College has been a big deal, mainly because we're just kind of right in the middle of the heart of Clinton and right there in Old Town, where people are more and more getting used to coming to Old Town for events and restaurants. And I mean, you're part of the city government. You guys are doing a fantastic job with that and marketing our city. And so that's sort of bleeding over to Mississippi College. And now we're here. You got the smaller stands and the atmosphere, and you got all these kids that are coming and screaming and making noises. I had to move away from in front of the stands the other night because it was too loud. And I love that. But those things, and in addition to that, I've been able to bring in a couple of photographers, which, I mean, even your photography from the other night, like, people don't understand how important that is to a small staff like we have, because if we can get people that are really experts in some of these areas and then we get to utilize it, man, it just, the professionalism of the organization just goes up tremendously. And so I think we've done better on social media this year because we've had people, we have an intern that's been here for a couple of weeks doing pictures with us. I mean, we've got a really professional photographer that has actually shot Ole Miss and Sugar Bowls and things like that, and he's out there shooting pictures that are like, how did you even get this shot?
Mm-hmm.
People
Because
think that we have
he
pulled
got
them.
that awesome shot because he has a 300 millimeter lens and one heck of a camera. That's how he got it, and a little bit of skill.
He does have some skill, but I mean, seriously, even your pictures from the other night pregame were so good, and like those type things we can use, and then put them into social media and promote things. And I just think it's enhanced a lot of stuff that we're doing. I mean, our camp that's coming up in 2 weeks, already has, more registrations than we would normally have 2 weeks before. And a lot of that is just like you said, the operations and what goes on behind the scenes to make everything happen the way that it does. So it's been a great year so far. We were a little bit behind this year, I would say, on operations side of things, not on like the stuff that Scott does behind the scenes to get players registered and all that. Nobody in the league does that the way we do. I mean, he has done it for so long. He can do it in his sleep, and we never scramble to register players. He does that such a great job. But like some of the organization, as far as lining up all the meals and the things like that, we were in the middle of a wedding, and so it kind of put us behind. Even sponsorships a little bit we're behind, but people are rallying and it's coming together. So I don't know. It's been a great start to the season. I'm super excited where we are.
Well, I think a little bit of the rallying really, you go back and you look at any sport, you look at any institution, whatever it's been, and you're always going to hear the phrase winning helps. And so this year being, 3 matches in, we've got to win. The first win that we've seen in a good while. We've got 2 draws that, my goodness, both of those games were, well, I know everybody calls, an awesome kick a worldie, but both of those matches were worldies. They were exactly what football's supposed to be, and it was so much fun to watch, especially since there were guys on both teams for both games that knew each other, so, they really wanted to have some bragging rights. But I think winning helps, and so getting to have a winning atmosphere, one thing that you talked about previously with us, and you mentioned it just a minute ago, is the professionalism. What's it like to get to kind of lead in a year where there's a positivity and a momentum of, hey, we could reach the top of that table?
Oh, I mean, it makes all the difference in the world. And I've been talking a lot to the guys. I mean, I had a conversation with one of the players sitting in the backseat of our car last night, and he asked me, he said, I'm sure this is the most stressful time of the year for you. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, is it also the happiest time of the year for you? And I said, well, when we're winning.
That's right.
But part of that is because winning's not everything, and that's not why we do what we do. But winning enhances, just like you said, it enhances so much that we're doing. It enhances the crowd, and the people get excited about coming to games, which in turn helps the players perform better. I mean, it's all kind of a domino effect. But even the players themselves, like the mentality and just whether they're up or down. I mean, so much of that is about the standings, and so we stress that. And like I keep telling the guys, I'm so competitive, but it's not for me. Like I don't get anything for winning.
Yeah.
It's for them, but it's because we put so much into what we do for them. And then we're like, we want them to be successful, and successful to them is winning soccer games.
Yeah.
And so to be at this point in the season, and look, you said it's been a while since we've won a game because last year was atrocious, but that's not the standard of Brilla. I mean, the standard of Brilla is what we're living right now, and even better, to be honest. But because we should have probably pulled out at least one of those wins at home. But to be sitting, a win and 2 ties, everybody else in the league is going to be. I mean, you can look and you can say, all right, we've got 3 or 4 teams that could make the playoffs, and all of us are going to just probably beat up on each other throughout the season. And so it's fun. I mean, as soon as we tied that game the other night, I got a text message from the coach in Lafayette, Louisiana, the LA Crew. I mean, he texted me as soon as the ball went in the net almost. And he goes, man, this is going to be a fun year for all of us. And that's just kind of how we feel. So, you mentioned how exciting the games were. Fans were coming down on the field. They didn't care that we tied. Like I cared, and our players cared, and we were disappointed. But the fans were like, this is the greatest thing we've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
And so they all want to come back on Wednesday because of what happened last Wednesday. And so you have to kind of keep that mindset of, man, there's other things at play here. And yes, we would love to be even in a little bit better position. But, I think if you would have told us at the beginning of the season that 3 games in, we would be sitting on 5 points, we
Yeah,
probably would have been pretty excited about that.
that's right. I guess kind of to close out, you touched on something talking to the coach down at the Louisiana Crew. Um, our Mid-South division, you all have a pretty good relationship with each other. You talk to each other regularly. It's so fun to watch in matches when the teams get so heated with each other, but it's such a family affair that everybody wants to win. They want to beat each other. I guess kind of to close this out, talk to me a little bit about how that relationship is in the Mid-South division. And then when the new teams come in, how that is to kind of welcome them in to give them some sort of welcome to the Mid-South.
Yeah, it really is fun. The Mid South Division has done a really good job because years past, the whole entire league would go to winter meetings, and that's where we would do our scheduling. But it was all done in person, so all of the executives from all of these leagues would show up. I mean, it could because the pro teams were there too, like League One and USL Championship. And it was so much fun to just be able to hang out for 2 or 3 days, and we got too big is basically what happened, and there was nobody in Tampa, where USL is located. Nobody could handle us, and so they started, and then COVID hit, and so they started doing even our scheduling virtual. Well, I was on the executive committee for years and years, and I actually let somebody that wanted to do it way more than me take it this year. But one of the things that I was adamant about was that we were going to meet and do scheduling in person because it's so important for the top executives from every team in our division to sit down at a table outside of, I mean, even just to have a meal together and to do scheduling live and to be able to do that, not on a virtual, scheduling meeting. And so important. And we've continued that through the years. And so these guys that have been around for, several years in the league, we've gotten to be friends off the field. Now we are very competitive on the field, but it's great to be able to chat with each other off the field. And so even these new guys, these new teams that are coming in, they look at some of us and they're like, I mean, we've been in the league 20 years. So I got a call from Memphis the other day, and Memphis was like, man, we just ran into this situation, and has this ever happened to you before? And how can, and we just help each other,
Yeah.
because ultimately we all want to be successful, and we want each other to be successful, just not when you're playing us.
Right. Right.
So, but it's fun, and it's friendships, and I still text with people from when the old Mid-South was Texas teams, and I still have friends over there that are still playing, but they're in a different division now, and it's just neat to have all of those connections across the country, and super blessed to have been a part of this for a long time.
What does the rest of your June look like? So, but July has its own problems, but we're right here. It's that we're about to roll into June. What does June look like for Mississippi Brilla FC?
Well, first of all, camps actually start tomorrow. I know we're recording this on a Sunday, but our camps start Monday. So our first urban camp is in the morning. So it shifts everything because we'll be actually training at 7 o'clock in the morning now. So things get a little bit crazy. We'll have urban camps basically throughout the month of June, and then also our big Path to Pro camp comes up in 2 weeks, and that's for all the kids in the community. And so things kind of ramp up as far as just being really busy and hectic. And, we do have some time. It's great because Wednesday we play at home, and then we have a 10-day break, which is great. And so then we'll hit the road for a couple of games. But it's just a little bit more hectic because of the camps. And that's really the biggest thing that's thrown in here. And then July hits, and my goodness, it's just like bang, 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 bang to the end of the season with games, and then hopefully the playoffs. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but we just keep on going day to day.
That's right. Rusty, well, I appreciate your time. I'm going to let you get back to recording or editing your podcast. Anybody else wants to listen to The Redeemed Marriage, it's an excellent podcast to listen to. If you're not married, it's even great to kind of talk about how you can be a better friend. So I encourage you to listen to that, subscribe to that, share, right? That's what we're supposed to do. Subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff. So Rusty, I appreciate it. I'll talk to you later, and y'all have an awesome week with your first urban camp.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks to Rusty. Thanks to Will for all of their time and for all that they do. Follow this podcast on all the socials at Big Brilla Pod. You can get us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Share this with people. Apparently, this is going international. So everybody in Brazil who's watching, I'm a big fan of you. So I hope you share this with everybody that you know. We have players from Germany. Let's share this in Germany. Let's share this in Northern Ireland, where everybody comes from. Share this. Share. I'll see you on the live streams at the next home match this Wednesday and down the road right here on the Big Brilla Podcast. Be sure to cheer for the boys in blue and up the Brilla.